Hey guys, welcome to the In the Galaxy podcast. It's me, Michael G. I-L-K-I-S-O-N, with my boy Jay Will.I-Ams. What up, Jay?
What's up, everybody in podcast land? What's up, Michael?
Hey man, not a lot. I'm just about to go berserk on this podcast. What about you?
Oh, I'm just about to do pretty much the exact same song that I did on my podcast before. I'm sorry, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Oh, okay. Wow. All right, so I guess I'm going to dive right into the Marshall Mathers LP2, which was my choice for Jay. A little bit of background. This song came out, this album came out November 5th, 2013, my dad's birthday. And I've always had a lot of respect for Eminem. I mean, lyrically, what he does is amazing, and not many people can do what he does so well.
Well, let's be honest. Eminem, we grew up with Eminem. We literally grew up with Eminem. I mean, his album came out. I think his first album came out when we were in elementary school.
Yeah.
And now we're well out of college, and we're still talking about him. So he's a legend.
I remember when the Slim Shady LP came out. Mm-hmm. I mean, with My Name Is, all that stuff on there, man, I memorized like all those lyrics. He even made some allusions to his older songs, like I'm a Criminal on this album. Yeah. And man, I could just appreciate it so much more. So
what's your favorite all-time Eminem song?
Dang, all-time favorite Eminem song. Man, it'd have to be I'm Not Afraid. I just think that is the culmination of Eminem at the top of his game as an artist. I mean, the 8 Mile song of whatchamacallit, what's his hit song from 8 Mile?
I forget what it's called.
His arms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweat already. Mom's spaghetti. Yeah. He's nervous, but on the surface he looks I'm ready to drop bombs. When it came on forgetting, what he wrote down, but the whole crowd was so loud. Lose it. Yeah, lose yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he talked a little bit about that he was doing an album. He was cutting an album and doing 8 Mile at the same time. So he was super busy at that time. But he was able – so, yeah, my favorite song is I'm Not Afraid. I think it's a culmination of him as an artist.
Fell off for a little bit. Yeah,
man. I mean, and that segues – segs and drugs. Segs, drugs.
Segs is like shig. It's like segging is like shigging. Like shigalosis.
Oh, my God. Shigalosis, dude. That is bringing back some Channel 4 memories. No, but, yeah. So I read Eminem's Rolling Stone article, and it was just fantastic. Just some things that I'm amazed about is the fact that Eminem is so amazing lyrically. So amazing lyrically, and he doesn't read. Like, he just doesn't read at all. And he talks about when he reads that he'll read like a paragraph, and his mind will wander off in 10 different directions. He just can't focus on, what's on the page, so he doesn't read. He's also an amazing comic book artist. Like, he loves reading comic books and superheroes and things like that. He's actually an amazing artist drawing.
Yeah.
Something else about Eminem, he doesn't use the internet. Like, he doesn't use it at all, because his whole thing is like, oh, I'm going to want to read everything out there that's about me on the internet. He said he would read everything out there on the internet if he was connected to it. So, I mean, I just find that crazy. And, it just makes me wonder if that's adding to his artistic creativity of just not checking the internet, writing on a pad and paper. I mean, he's very old school. I think overall with this album, he's really connecting tight, like old school hip hop / even 70s rock, even like 60s rock with Rhyme or Reason. He's using Joe Walsh from the Eagles. He's using a track from that. He's got Rick Rubin that produced the Beastie Boys. I mean, he's just really bringing back old school stuff and, kind of putting his own spin on it. So, what else did he say in his Rolling Stone album or article? I'm trying to think here. He mentions that just rhyming. Yeah. Well, do you want to? Who do you want to review the album first?
You.
Okay, so I'll just go down the track list. Bad Guy. I mean, pretty much, I'm going to say the same thing about every song here, just about, which is lyrically, he's amazing. I need to spend just more time just focusing on the lyrics because they're so technical. Just like you would pay attention to the violins in a Beethoven, Mozart, or another type of composer's music. It's the same with Eminem. He's just doing like crazy ass eighth notes, 16th notes, just with the rhymes and stuff like that. And it kind of cut out a little bit, a little segue. John Mayer talked about he lost his voice for a while, so he had to stop singing for a bit. And he said, I finally just now believe that the voice is an instrument because I lost the voice. The voice truly is an instrument. And he learned that after losing his voice. And I think that's the same with rapping and delivery. And that's something actually that Jay taught me a lot about is like how you deliver lyrics, how you say things, how fast you do it, what the rhythm and the cadence is to the lines. I mean, there's so many technicalities there, and you could deliver it so many different ways. I mean, like Eminem just kills it. I think it's on the end of the song Berserk, where he's just going super fast just through these lines, and each line is different. It's not the same rhythm, and he stacks rhymes within rhymes, and I mean, he's just crazy. His rhyming scheme is crazy. And I saw a documentary about his writing style of where he's just like, yeah, I try and put phrases within a phrase, and I try and make puns, and I try and do plays on words. And I mean, man, he really, really does that. He does that in every song.
Yeah, he's a master of words and vocabulary and just intricacy. It's almost like if you were going to sit down and listen to the most technically proficient band that you could possibly think of. For me, it's a band like, let's say somebody like Bon Iver. Let's say it's got a box of sounds. Okay, it's got a box of sounds. Well, Justin Vernon has a particular skill and ability to pick out the perfect sounds that fit in the perfect spot. Even though it's that one triangle sound, it's placed in a perfect spot.
Yes,
and he's able to put it all together. Whereas I think Eminem does the same thing with words. Not always perfect,
That was another thing from the Rolling Stone article. Thank you, Jay. Is he's talking about when he's in the studio about how the relationship between the drums and the snare and the hi-hat has to be perfect. Like he'll be in there and he'll say, you know what? I think we need to bring down the hi-hat 1 decibel. And he's just like, I'm one of the only people that does that, because when he goes in the studio to mix the final cut down, they have to kick him out because he's just like, oh no, it's not perfect. It's not. I got to go in here, and and I just thought Rick Rubin, who worked with the Beastie Boys, and Johnny Cash, and Rob Zombie, just all these different artists. Jay-Z, 99 Problems in a Ain't One.
He did his last record too.
Oh yeah, I mean Rick Rubin's just very versatile. So I was curious to see him and Dre kind of just come together, and and Eminem and Dre have their history. And and Eminem talked about his drug use a lot. He got insanely nervous. He used to have huge nerve problems performing in front of people. And he talked about how he was an alcoholic for a while. Like if he was so nervous because of how he got beat up as a kid that when he looked out of the crowd to rap, people thought that they were wanting to beat him up. He was just that paranoid. So he would drink to take the nerves off. And he said, if I didn't pop pills, then I would be drinking 7 nights a week. I would be killing myself. So, I mean, that's why he started popping pills, is just to deal with that anxiety. Right. And that kind of gets back to what I'm saying about him as an artist with, I'm Not Afraid, is because he like cuts that dependency, that crutch out. I mean, he's a talented guy as it is. He doesn't need other substances to bring out the best in him. And I think he does that, and I'm Not Afraid. I was a English teacher for a while, and when I was student teaching, I had to cover 26 poetry terms. 26. And the teacher said, you can cover these terms however you want. I took one verse from Eminem's song, I'm Not Afraid. One verse, and I covered 16 out of the 26 poetry terms. 16 out of the 26. That's illusion. That's rhyme, rhythm, alliteration, puns. I mean, that's just to name a few, just off the top of my head. But that just goes back to his technicality, and we really see that here. I think we saw a glimpse of it in I'm Not Afraid, but like here, I think he just lays it down on every song. That's why I'm saying, every song here, I could just say the same thing. I could go on about how technical he is. I could go on about how he's like the that famous violin player that is just so technical and amazing to watch. I could do that with every song here. Some of my favorites, So Much Better. I really enjoy that song because the thing about Eminem is that he embraces anger and like feelings and like negative feelings that he has. I mean, he really embraces that. And I think it's rare in society today for somebody to say, oh, you know what? It's okay to be angry. It's really okay. Like so many people are just like, oh, well, forgiveness, forgive people. You got to forgive people and not ever get angry. It's important never to be angry. And it's just like, no, you know what? Shit happens and you get pissed off. So you should tap into that anger. And I mean, that's what got him famous off his first album. He just talks about like killing people and hacking them up and just all this violence. But I mean, I think that's an outlet for him to deal with all those emotions. And you know what? I think I was a good kid growing up. I didn't, and actually me and Jay both, we never did drugs. We never drank beer in high school. Like we were, straight-laced kids, but we could listen to whatever type of music we wanted. And I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed listening to Eminem growing up. And it's the same as now of just like, hey, it's crazy. And I don't think you see that a lot these days where somebody comes out and proudly says, you know what? Life would be a lot better if you were dead. I mean, it's just insane on how like some people, I don't know. I just really appreciate that he went there as an artist. And then at the end of the song, he goes, I'm just playing. It's a joke. Like, yeah. I really like that. I thought that was very creative artistically. I talked about all the other songs, about how he messed with the time of the season. And I like Survival. I think Survival is one of the best songs on there.
Yeah.
Berserk is really good. Rap God. Oh, it's Rap God where he spits the lines really fast.
Yeah.
I'm actually not a huge Rihanna fan, believe it or not. I don't like the Monster song. I would. Yeah. I do not like Rihanna. I don't like her collaborations with Eminem. I'll say that musically.
Right.
None of them. Sorry.
Yeah.
Headlights. The guy from Fun, like Nate. What's his name? Nate Russ. Is that how you say it?
I don't remember his name. Yeah.
Well, he's the guy from Fun. I love that song. I think they killed it together, that collaboration. I like Desperation a lot. And actually, I liked Wicked Ways. The last song on the album, I'm just like, man.
It's actually on the bonus. It's actually a bonus song.
Oh, a bonus.
It's a bonus song. Yeah. It wasn't on the original album because I heard that song too, and I was like trying to – because – excuse me. I thought about the track. I was like, oh, this sounds like the Imagine Dragons. It sounds like the Imagine Dragons guy. And I was like, I wonder if it is. So I went to look it up. And surely enough, I didn't see the song on the album. And then I found out it was a bonus track. That song is really strong. It's a really strong track for it to have not made the actual final cut of the main album. But yeah, it features I guess the singer of Imagine Dragons, and it has the beat on it. It probably has the best beat on it of any of these songs. Not the best beat, but one of the best beats on this entire record. It has a more modern beat than some of the other songs.
And is Beautiful Pain, is that the one that Kendrick Lamar is on?
No, it's Love Game.
Okay, yeah. Absolutely. I noticed when I listened to this that Kendrick Lamar's guest spot, man, Kendrick Lamar just nails his whole
he was incredible on this record. And he was
Shireen,
also Shireen came up on the
Shireen came
track,
up again, man.
Which is cool. Which I don't mean to get into.
No, that's why I wanted to bring this up.
I didn't want to get into like a thing about him, but it makes me wonder if at all these features, because I saw an interview where he said he doesn't like doing features, but he will from time to time. I almost wonder if sometimes if some of the stuff he sings about, he doesn't try to tie back into the story, almost as like you see people, they'll write books, but then they'll write like a short story based on something like, oh, while this was happening with the main character, this other stuff was going on too with these other characters. Like, I don't know. I didn't listen to it enough to pay attention. But
it's kind of like spin-off TV shows.
Exactly, yeah.
It's like, whoa, I didn't know this was going on in the alternate TV universe. So did you, out of curiosity, because Jay loved the Kendrick Lamar album, it's very rare where I'll turn Jay on to new music or just to look at an artist differently than before. And I celebrated that victory of doing that with Kendrick Lamar. Yeah. And Jay actually is a fan of vinyl. And you have this record on vinyl. Now, what I want to know is,
I have this record on vinyl? What record are you talking about?
Marshall Mathers LP, right?
No, I don't have it on vinyl. No.
I thought you had it on vinyl.
No, I own it.
Oh,
digitally,
you own it.
I don't own it on vinyl. Yeah.
Okay.
No. I wouldn't buy this record on vinyl.
Well, we'll get into that in a second. But did you, after listening to Kendrick Lamar's album, did you listen to his spot on this song differently? Or did you? Does that make sense? Like, how did your perspective of Kendrick Lamar change? Because you've heard him.
To be honest with you, I don't think I ever even listened to the song that he was on. Mm-hmm. Even though I had the record, I've had it for a long time. I don't think I ever actually listened to that song. And I knew he was on. I was wondering if I had missed it, and I knew he was on this record. So when I was listening to it and I finally found him, I was like, oh, okay, this is him. I mean, more than anything, I ended up comparing the two.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe we'll get into that when I talk about it. So.
Yeah. So for me, I picked this album. For me, it's a B+. I mean, I like what he does artistically. He kills it lyrically. Oh, and he's an amazing storyteller. I don't think anybody is as good of a storyteller as Eminem is as he's weaving the rhymes together. No one can top Eminem's storytelling, which surprised me that he didn't read that much because you would think he would read a lot. But he actually loves movies. He's a huge Rocky fan and such. But, I mean, as good as he is with words, that really surprised me.
Why didn't it break into the A realm for you? Just curious.
For me, I don't like – when I listen to music, I like it to be simple. I like to just kind of jam to it and kind of groove to it. There was only like one song on here that I could really relax and groove to. Eminem's just so intense. If you're not in an Eminem mode, if you're not ready, if you're not in the mood for Eminem, then it's just – So, I mean, part of getting an A for me is just like it being versatile enough to be, you know.
Yeah, it's hard to do anything else while you're listening to Eminem.
Yeah.
Because he's just spitting so much, you know, verbiage at you. There's so much going on inside the music, and he's doing so much stuff. Yeah, it is hard to listen to.
And he talks about that before when he, like, shows songs to his friends. He'll get pissed if they're talking. Because he'll be like, shut the hell up while this is going on. You just missed that rhyme. You just missed this. And I relate to that because he puts so much work into it. But that's why I gave it a B+. B+.
Cool. Good stuff. It's my turn.
And yes, to you.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think more than anything, this album was it's from, I think, what we can consider a hip hop classic. you know, and Eminem, he's like, as Michael and I were talking about, he's been around since we were kids, man, since we were young kids. So it's definitely an era of hip hop that I wasn't as in touch with and in tune with. As I've spoken before, it's not necessarily my number one favorite music to listen to. But with that being said, I have enjoyed what Eminem has done, what he's put out. I respect the hell out of him. You know, I don't like listening to, I don't know, people playing the flute. But if you can play the flute really good, I respect you playing the flute really good. That's about as simple
Fair
as
enough.
I could put it with that. But yeah, you know, I'm really happy that Eminem made a big comeback with his album before this. Was it Relapse? Was that the one that came out before this?
I don't know if it was Relapse or Recovery.
Whichever one it was. I was happy that he came back with that. And I'm glad that he's he came out with this album, and he's still going strong. Just to kind of kick off the album, Bad Guy, really didn't like this track. First of all, it felt to me like it should have been anywhere on this album except for the first song. It's 7 minutes long, a 7-minute long first song, and it has this it has a decent hook that's kind of catchy. But here's one thing that has bothered me with later Eminem records is that on his first record, and even probably his first two records, Marshall Mathers LP1, you didn't hear a lot of hooks. You didn't hear a lot of sang choruses, especially in the first album. And the more he's done that, I feel like the more he's fallen in love with it. It could be a sign of him trying to grow. That's definitely a very popular thing in modern hip hop, and I think that's something that he's trying to, I guess, just adapt to. But I would say they're never his strong points, A, and B, I hate when he sings. I just wish he would never sing. Dude, you're one of the greatest rap lyricists ever.
Get Drake to sing for it. No.
You don't need to sing. Please stop singing. Just please. Okay, it was cool when you did it the first two times on that, like the Aerosmith track. I don't remember what it's called, and every now and then you can come in with like one song that has it, like, you know, I'm Not Afraid or something like that. But he sings like freaking on almost every track on this damn thing.
That's true.
I don't like that. That was definitely a negative for me.
It's very nasally. He's got that nasally voice already.
His voice just isn't good. This is not very good. So,
can you tell me your real opinion, please?
I mean, if you want to do like some melodic, you know, rapping every now and then, I'm cool with that. I'm down with that. But to straight up lead your hook, no, come on, bro.
My life would be so much better.
So, you know, some of the other stuff, I like Rhyme or Reason. It's a great song. So Much Better, that is a really good song. In fact, it's incredibly introspective, which you didn't really touch on, but I think you'd agree. He's a very introspective rapper. You know, he will talk about his insecurities. In fact, he'll talk about his insecurities, talk about how he is insecure about his insecurities, and then he'll talk about murdering his insecurities and killing them, which is cool. I mean, I respect that. The song Asshole, I think that's a pretty decent song. One of my favorite tracks on this song is Rap God, because I like the idea behind it. The fact that he's calling himself a rap god, which seems like a lot of people are doing these days.
Yeah.
But he pretty much says, look, I'm going to have this song called Rap God. I'm not going to talk about how awesome I am. I mean, I will, but more than anything, I'm going to absolutely shred. I mean, if he were a guitar player, he would be freaking murdering that guitar. I mean, he is just throwing all kinds of stuff in there. That I love it. I love his technicality. His wordplay is phenomenal.
God, he just kills it. He says something about elevating and levitating when he's just going 1,000,000 miles an hour. No one can touch him. No rapper can touch him there, I think.
Absolutely. The hook in the song, the chorus is terrible. It's garbage in that song. It's really cheesy. Something about slap boxing, like I don't even
Oh,
remember what the line is, but it's stupid. And I will say this album and a lot of Eminem stuff is littered with cheesy lines, which I think could sometimes it's purposeful, but I give him a pass because I'm going to say if you were to do a word count on an Eminem record, I bet people's minds would be absolutely blown. I mean, actual word count. I mean, the dude spits so
like
fast.
vocabulary rhyme, yeah, like vocabulary words.
I'm saying words
Oh,
in
words in
general.
general, yeah.
Any word, like an actual word count. When you have a word count that is as massive as Eminem is, because he's just going crazy with, when we talk about the actual technicality of what he's doing, I'm talking about mixing and matching syllable play. If you have a beat and you've said in your mind in this rhythm we're going to have we're going to use 8 syllables for 4 bars, switch it up to 16 syllables because I'm doubling the syllables, so I'm going faster, maybe do 32 syllables, you know what I
Yeah,
mean, like do something crazy like that. But he will mix and match them. He will do straight up hip hop math inside of his head. He said,
yeah,
well, I'm going to use 2 here and break right here so that I can add 4 here, and then I'm going to double it, but then I'm going to take 2 away by dropping 2. You know what I mean?
yeah.
These crazy. That's awesome. That's amazing. And I give him a pass on some of the cheesy lyrics because there's so many words. I mean, you're going to have to cut. If you're either going to repeat stuff or you're going to say stuff that's stupid. That's all. That's the only way I can give him a pass on
With
it.
the cheesy thing, like I feel like he's the only rapper that could get away with saying cheesy stuff because
Yeah, I mean, I think Drake can get away with it because he's Drake. You know what I mean? Like you can't really take anything Drake does as super serious. You're
but
not gonna.
Drake is like this ladies' man. If like after the show, Drake is like getting with girls and like partying and popping bottles. But after a show for Eminem, he's like writing. He's like working on his stuff. He's nerdy, you know. He's just a nerd. But Drake is like, "Yo, what's up, girl? How you doing?" Type of thing, you know.
Yeah,
That's how I feel.
I don't think Drake would ever stand up on a pedestal and claim that he was like a great lyricist, or b a great, the best actual vocal rapper in terms of making rhymes. I don't think he would ever claim that. So that's why I give him a pass on that. But that's beside the point. The staying on track with the rest of this album. Um, Gosh, we get to the monster song.
I hate that
I
song.
wrote zero. I wrote one line note about this, and it said Rihanna, comma, please God no. That's all it said. Like, I'm so sick of her. But the thing that made me sick about the song is that it's like Eminem had a recipe book of all the songs that made him successful. Okay, he had Rihanna on the track on his last record that was really popular, really big song. It's like he has a recipe book of the songs that made him that were huge hits. And he said, I'm going to thumb through this one. Oh, the Rihanna song. Let's look at this one. I think I'm going to do this. And he followed it to a T and didn't
Yeah.
change anything about it. Like, seriously, come on, man. Come on. Like, seriously, the album's 16 songs deep. It runs almost 80 minutes. Like,
Yeah, it's a long album.
do you need to do the same thing that you did on the last one? That really just frustrated me. There's some other good songs on here. Love Game, the one with Kendrick Lamar. I think the interesting thing about this, like I told you in your review, I tried to compare the two, and it's unfair. It's a little bit unfair to even try to compare them to because they come from different eras. One is a West Coast rapper and one is a Midwest rapper with West Coast influences. Those things are going to lend themselves completely differently. They're quite similar to where they use variations and inflections in their voice within the same song and still come across very well. In fact, Kendrick Lamar uses 3 inflections in his voice just in his one segment. But Kendrick killed the track. He was amazing on that song. And I like the song Evil Twin too, the last track on this
Yeah.
album. It's a really, really good one. So I want to talk just real quick about the music the actual music behind this album, then I'll kind of
absolutely.
Here's the thing. I don't know if beats have ever really been Eminem's strong suit. You know what I mean?
No, I would agree with that.
Beats. Like he uses, there's a lot of guitar work and stuff. There's some songs that are straight up guitar led. There's one song in here that's like a piano song that's terrible. I
feel like that's the Beastie Boys influence over him, which I was never a huge like fan of the Beastie Boys beats. It's more like
dude. No. We're gonna have to do a live Beastie Boys listen, man. There's some Beastie Boys that are straight up sick, dude. Straight up sick. Like Sure Shot is a great song. That's the point.
But I'm thinking License to Ill Beastie Boys.
Well, I mean, even there's stuff on that's really good. But like, here's the thing.
I'm not a huge fan of those beats.
Here's the thing about his beats is that there's way too much going on, and that's fine. Like, well, I think it's okay. It's very classic. He has a very classic approach to picking his beats, which lends itself to what you were talking about. But I think because he's so overbearing on your ears with what he's saying, what he's spitting, and how technical he is, I feel like you almost need to take a page out of Kendrick Lamar's book and have beats that are more pulled back, almost more simplified. Because that's one of the reasons why I can't completely just get into this album. Like I can't just put it on and listen to it. Because at least if I've got the beat going, like I've got the rhythm and I can just jam to it. But I just don't get that idea from him. But kind of my overall kind of wrap everything up thing. More than anything, like I said at the beginning of my review, Eminem is he's a classic now. You know, he is a classic. And he came out in an era where A, I didn't really care that much for hip hop, and B, he still has some issues that I had with hip hop back then. We've talked about this before. Hip hop albums for a long time have been guilty of having a handful of tracks on like a 15, 16 song record where you can get behind those 5 tracks. Like, let's be honest. I could pick out a few of these songs and put them on a Eminem playlist and be happy with it. But if I put all these songs on it, or if a bunch of these songs, a majority of these songs were left off, I wouldn't be that sad about it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like this album and his approach to this just lends itself to that era of hip hop, to where it wasn't focused as much as the album in a bigger picture. Whereas there's people like Drake, Kanye, Kendrick Lamar, Jay-Z, more modern Jay-Z stuff, with the exception of his last record. But there's a lot more people out there that are doing the whole full album stuff and putting more thought into that. But I'm not shitting on Eminem. I think Eminem, his focus is on lyrics, and that's what his contribution is to the game and how hard he works. He's an incredible hard working MC, and I respect that. So. All in all, I give this album a good solid B-, just because it's a good endeavor by Eminem. Not my cup of tea. It's a good endeavor by him, and I respect what he's doing. I expect his talents, respect his talents, and all that stuff. It's just not something that I'm going to say this as a whole is a great record. But I will make one awesome mixtape or playlist for somebody with songs off this record. So
well, that's fair. I will say 2 things. One of them is about the beats. Regarding the beats, like I'm the same way. I can't. His beats aren't great. I mean, they're great for him. Like his beats get him pumped up. He's able to lay it down, spit it out. But only like Wicked Ways is the only true hip hop song where I can just, get in my car, kick back, throw up the bass, and just be like groove to it, just groove to it and just let it wash over you.
I agree.
Just be like, yeah, man, yeah. Kendrick Lamar's got that. But I mean, that's my problem with Eminem. I think he's got a Lil Wayne type thing going on because his voice is a little nasally, just like Wheezy. Eminem's just more like nah, 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 nah. And Wheezy's more like yeah. And if you just get that too much, that one frequency, it doesn't really – you got to kind of filter sound around that, give it a whole round sound. On a similar note, I don't know, you know the song Pound Cake that Drake did featuring Jay-Z? Well, Jay-Z actually laid down that track to a different beat. Like Jay-Z wrote his lyrics and he laid it down to that beat. Well, Drake didn't like that beat, so him and 40 actually switched it and put a different song underneath it, which I actually like the beat for Pound Cake a lot. I mean, I love that beat. It's different. It grooves. It plays with some sounds. But I would like to see that with Eminem as well. But, I mean, like I said, he's just so amazing lyrically that you can't really you're like, okay, you're amazing lyrically. You can do whatever. You could just do somebody clapping. Okay.
I will say this. One thing that I did want to do, I was like, because, see, I don't listen to a ton of Eminem.
Yeah.
I have to admit. But I kind of listened to this, and I for the first time, I really realized that his beats weren't that strong. But I was like, I wonder if his beats were as strong as some of the older stuff that I used to like.
No.
Well, there are some songs, which, I mean, I understand this is going to sound ridiculous. There are some songs in his catalog of many, many songs. I mean, it's probably like close to 100 songs deep by now.
Yeah.
But how many songs do you listen to? But I asked you what your favorite Eminem track was, and you answered. My favorite Eminem track is actually a tie between Guilty Conscience off his first record and Role Model off his first record. Those two songs, and those have really, really, really good beats. Those are more Dr. Dre influenced beats, very old school, very West Coast, and I don't know. I enjoy those beats, but yeah, I think honestly, I think ever since I think it was Encore, maybe, I just really haven't been really fully on with his beats. So.
Yeah, I kind of dropped off after that. Like with, I love Eminem's stuff that he did on Chronic 2001, like with Exhibit. Oh, yeah. I mean, Dre just killed that album. The beats and Eminem on it, just, oh man. That's just when you realize how talented he was lyrically. When he's like, nowadays everybody want to talk, like they got something to say, when nothing comes out, when they move the lips, just a bunch of gibberish, and like that, and they forgot about Drake. And you're just like, whoa. But he multiplies that. What I liked, because I was a huge, like, I wasn't impressed with his beats off the first album either. But I liked that he threw in skits in between. He would, like, throw in skits of, like, getting in a car and, you know, like, or his record producer calling him and be like, hey, this is Paul Rosenberg, and blah, blah. Just like silly-ass little Saturday Night Live sketches between songs about killing his mother and killing his ex. And it's just like, what? This is like Saturday Night Live sketch level stuff. And I saw that a little bit toward the end. I think he goes into the bathroom and he literally takes a dump, and you hear, like, him peeing in the toilet and, like, and I'm just like, that brings me back to his first album of when he's, like, doing that type of stuff, the skits.
Yeah.
So
that's good. Yeah. Thanks for recommending that. I was anxious to my God, what are you doing?
I was just plugging in the computer.
It sounded like you were giving your computer a lobotomy.
What does a lobotomy sound like?
What you just did.
I didn't hear it, though.
Yeah, you didn't hear it, but I heard it. And everybody else is going to hear it.
Oh, man. Oh, well. You just deal with it out there in Galaxy Land.
Damn, Michael just laid it down. And this is my podcast with my name on it. So you guys can just fuck off.
I don't do that much.
Yeah. So, all right. So,
any other? Yeah. Huh?
I don't have any other thoughts. I mean, that's pretty much it. I think we covered everything. But yeah. So next, we're doing my pick, which is Codaline in a Perfect World, which is quite the switch up, I would think. But
yeah, we had an interesting combination this week for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think this is what you get when we had the same problem when neither of us really knew what to pick, which I just realized I still haven't picked what I'm going to ask you to review next. So actually, no, I just remembered it. So, all right.
Yeah.
So what's next week for me?
Next week for you is Macklemore's album, The Heist.
Okay.
Cool. I picked that album because, once again, going back to, like hip-hop, Macklemore straight up said that he thought Kendrick Lamar's album should have won Album of the Year. Right. Well, let's actually listen to the album of the year and let's compare it. Let's compare it fairly. And, let's give it a go. So that's why I picked Macklemore's album. And I think he's just interesting because, like, he's just very different. He's a white rapper. He's from Seattle. And, you're getting more white rappers these days. And it's just – it's tough. It's tough for a white rapper to come through and kind of find – it's tough for anybody, actually, to find their voice. So I think Macklemore is interesting.
Cool. You got anything else, man?
No, man. I'm good. I'm good. You?
All right. No, let's head on out of here so we can give them another episode.
All righty. Thanks, guys. We'll catch you next time in the galaxy. Peace.
Yep.